as does Victor Hedman for that matter. Girgensons down to the corner. Thompson trying to get the right position on that one to make a play on it. Thompson with the giveaway. Here's a chance in front. Oh, what a goal by Tage Thompson! TNT blows it up.
I gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day I die, I'ma trust this guy.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to another episode of Live in 5, baby. Episode number 61 across your goddamn chin. Again, folks, I am joined by the captain, Gage Ausmus. Yours truly, Jay Swish, checking in from North Scottsdale, Arizona. And folks, before we get to the pre-show, as we always do over here at Live in 5, I just want to announce we have Tage TNT Thompson joining the program, a young man that plays in Buffalo, 47 goal scorer the other year, and a hell of a 1T option over there on that Ovechkin office, Azo, for their power play in Buffalo. So we have TNT Thompson coming on, former roommate of mine actually in St. Louis for about 3 months. This kid, I'm going to ask him when he comes on, Ozzy. All he would do is just sit in his room, play COD. He was like 19 years old and order Emo's Pizza, which was a pizza place in St. Louis. And this kid at that time, I mean, he was built like Bambi, right? He was like 6'5", probably like 185 pounds, soaking wet if you threw him in the washer and went heavy duty wash. And now he's like jacked and big. And I've seen him in the summers. I'm like, and it makes sense why it took him a little bit of time to kind of grow into his body and become the player he was again back in the day. He only spent 1 year at UConn. So we're going to chat with TNT Thompson. It'll be fun to catch up with him.
At this point, Jordo, at this point, we haven't interviewed him yet. I'm excited to ask him why in God's name, because I think he played at UConn, didn't he?
Yes. Yep.
Can't wait to ask him that.
Yep. Yeah. So he was. His dad was actually coaching in Bridgeport down the road, so that might have had something to do with it. Yeah, but we'll get into it with TNT, and he's going to join the program. Friend of the show over here. But before we get into it, as we always do over here at Live in 5, we plug our YouTube page. Azo, we're at about 7,000 subs, 7,500 subs last time I checked. So let's get to 10K, folks. So let's keep pumping those numbers again. Tell your mother, tell your cousins, tell your ex-wife, whoever you want about Live in 5. Have them like, subscribe, comment on our videos. Again, it does not cost you anything. That's over at Live in 5 2024. So that is our YouTube page. Keep watching on YouTube if you can. Get our numbers up. Get that going. Get it buzzing that way. Comment. I love when guys just will be like fella on it or whatever they're saying, just stupid stuff. We love it over here at Live in 5 because, again, that kind of just, if you comment on it, you follow your buddy's account or whatever it is, something in that algorithm would always be like, you may also like this video. And then Live in 5 pops up and boom. Now you're watching us and our ugly chins and mugs over here. So, folks, get at our YouTube page at Live in 5 2024. Does not cost you $1. Get over there. We are brought to you by Butter Golf and Mini Movers. Both are the official, one's a lifestyle and clothing brand, and the other is the official moving company of Live in 5. So go check those out at Mini Movers on socials, at butter.golf, minimovers.com, butter.golf on our website. And go check those out. If you want a free quote for a move, you want a new t-shirt or a hat, something you saw maybe in that Amazon series with Willie Styles, we do have that upside down butter hat. And again, we have the Big B hat that Azo is rocking right now. It's in red and it's also in black. You know who I just dropped some stuff off? I don't know if I said it last week. I think I might have said it, but I talked on about 9 different podcasts.
You did, Jordo. Did it go well with his manager?
It did. So
he put together a good package.
So D Book, his manager, Devin Booker, plays for the Suns. Obviously, his manager, Jamie, a.k.a. Jay. I dropped some stuff off for them last week in the Bronco, and Jamie, his manager, was like, yeah, I really like this. Now I'm going to put it on the book. So we'll see. Opening night was the other night, but I think their home opener is Saturday. Azo, imagine D Book walking down in some butter swag. Now, you never know, right? You give these celebrities, you give these big timers the product. You don't know if they're going to like it, but now it's in their hands. They have to make a decision. So I hooked them up with everything we have in the closet, from our City Open tee to all of our hats, our combo variations, some of the select ones. I know he's a big camo guy, so I was actually thinking about giving him one of those Forks hats.
Oh, that'd be the best.
But I just didn't know if that really made sense for a guy that went to Kentucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of refrained. So that we'll
Jordan,
see, man.
If you don't mind me asking, how do you meet a guy like Jay, his manager?
Yeah, so he is actually, Coach Dar, who we've had on here, who's the GOAT, has worked with Devin and obviously done some work with Jamie, the manager of D-Book. So that's kind of the connection there. I met him at a little, Dar was getting an award, whatever award that was the other week when I went there and kind of, she, it was like the mental health award or something like that for the city of Scottsdale. And she, it was actually a pretty sick award. There was like Larry Fitzgerald was one of the winners, Jordan Sparks, the singer, like some big timers won this award. Coach Dar, who we had on, won this award. So that's where I got introduced, and I was like, hey man, I was sitting by him at the dinner. I was like, just talking or whatever. And then he was like, what do you do? And we got talking, and that was kind of the assist there. So yeah, man, it's cool. How much I love the association. So anytime we can get it in and around the hands of those guys, we'll see what happens. But also, our last ad read before we get into the weekend recap is always brought to you by Gladiator Therapeutics. Are you tired of dealing with chronic aches and pains or neurological conditions? Gladiator Therapeutics offers a revolutionary solution using quantum physics to improve your health. Our devices use patented technology to emit far infrared light, stimulating cellular processes without heat. This can reduce inflammation, speed up healing, and enhance mobility. Clinical trials show impressive results, including a 400% increase in survivability in stem cells, fella. Accelerated wound healing up to 68% faster, and significant improvements in Parkinson's disease models. Wearable 24/7 without power. Our devices can be a game changer. Visit www.gladiatortherapeutics.com/contact _DRGM/ to learn more and start your journey to better health today. Azo, what's up, baby? How we doing? That was our little, ad read we always do, long-winded, but how you doing, fella?
Doing well, man. Yeah, doing really well. It's definitely sweater weather here in Minnesota right now, so I do enjoy that time when I get to wear a sweatshirt outside and not, walk around sweating for a little bit, because fall style Jordo is the best style. You got pants and a long sleeve on. Maybe it's a button up with a shirt underneath it. Maybe it's a crew neck. Maybe it's a hoodie. There's just a lot of options. You can wear a coat. It's just the best for, feeling good, walking around, styling out. So, yeah, we're doing well over here, Jordo. How about you?
Doing well, man. And you say fall weather. It's finally dipping down below 95 degrees. I mean, anything under 100 here, I'll take. That's a fucking win at the end of the day. But Jesus Christ, man, this year, for whatever reason, it's obviously my second full year in terms of, still being here in the fall and kind of not leaving during July and getting out of the dog days. But dude, from July to, I want to say a week or two ago, there were still days when it was 110 degrees out. I'm thinking, uncle, what are we doing here? So now I'm waking up, it's 70, it's really nice. It still will climb throughout the afternoon and be somewhere between 85 and 95, but that's doable, as you know, in the desert. Dry heat, baby, dry heat. But when it's over 105, it's just fuck off. So right now, Azo, I'm actually in that fall weather down here. And, from a kid from Wisconsin that has lived in Finland, I've lived in fucking Grand Forks. I've kind of gotten a little bit softer weather-wise, so I can still throw on a hoodie at 70 degrees and I'll feel pretty good. But like you said, man, that style in the fall, there's nothing better than just throwing a pair of joggers on, some high-top Jordans or Nikes, and getting that sweatshirt on or a crew neck, and you're like, oh, I feel juicy. And then in between winter and fall, then you get to throw the toque or the old winter hat on. Now that is sick style, especially when you have a decent lettuce like you do too, fella.
Yeah, that's the best. Toque, I can't wait for it to come out. It's kind of why I still have my hair long, because it looks good in the winter, and it just looks so good with the flow coming out the back.
Yeah, are you recovered from your hunting trip? What'd you do last weekend? You just kind of chill out and kick your feet up? Any lunge circuits? Were you working out, or you're just fuck?
Yeah,
I'm just sit on the couch and chew.
I got back in the gym, strictly upper body. I bike for a little bit. I'd probably bike for 20 minutes when I'm in there, 10 before, 10 after. But no leg workouts. I'm still kind of this weekend. I don't even know if I want to go over because I didn't really do anything. I just sat on the love sack, watched football all weekend. It was awesome. And then, it feels good to be. It feels good to be back in society, but I also miss that no service, Jordo.
Yeah, and we just posted that social clip you talking about the elk hunting. It made me jealous. I was posting, I was like, fuck, that sounds kind of nice right now, because you know where I was, that maybe some of these people could use some exercise like you were having, was Kansas City. And my God, talk about the butt crack of America. I mean, you walk in there and you land in Kansas City, Azo, and you are at risk for pink eye, because just the amount of fumes coming out of these people's butts and just the juices flowing all around. I mean, I was in Kansas City for 48 hours, more or less, and I don't think I saw one good-looking person, Azo. Like, I was like, what is going on? Because it's not the South, it's the Midwest, but the people are actually fatter than what I'm used to in Wisconsin, which is crazy to say. It just feels like just everyone just stuffs themselves with pulled pork, brisket, and burnt ends, like at every hour of the day.
They got good barbecue in Kansas City, and Midwest people are hilarious. Like I used to have a membership of the YMCA. I'd go there and I'd go look at, nothing against these people. They're getting after it, trying to work out, trying to be healthy. But I'd look in these like pool workouts, Jordo, and it's just a Midwest thing. I feel like this doesn't happen on the East Coast, the West Coast, Southern U.S. states. But I look in this pool class workout at the YMCA, and I kid you not, I was playing a game like, can I find one person that isn't obese, like severely obese? And I couldn't find one. It's like everyone's just fat. And it's like, do these people, I think they just don't care. Like, do they know that eating McDonald's and Burger King for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week probably isn't the best for their health? Maybe not. Are they aware of that? I don't know. Maybe they are, and they just don't care because they're in the Midwest, and they're like, fuck, it gets cold in the winters. I got to have a little fucking extra layer here.
Yeah, a little cushion for the pushing, if you will. And the people of Kansas City, I just like, when you're looking at it on the map, it's so funny because it's literally like the belly button of America. Like, it's just smack dab in the middle. It's a little bit lower, but it's literally the belly button of America. And I was walking around, I was getting a kick, man. I was like, is there any broads here? Like, just doing your due diligence, right? You're out on Saturday night. I didn't see one. Sunday, we were at the game over there at KC Live, which is a pretty cool venue, but I mean, I think we were at risk for maybe getting shot there too, because that place was just like a blunt smoked filled area with like sneaky kind of ghetto people. And, there's nothing wrong with that crowd. I got a little, tint to me too, but I was just like, Jesus, like, where are we right now? And on Saturday night, the Missing Curfew boys, for their opening weekend meetings, if you will, had a night, Ozzo. I mean, this was hilarious. Like, I had to remove myself from the action on Saturday, because I ended up hitting Obi's dope pen. And when you're on like drink 19 and you hit a pen, and I don't really smoke in terms of smoking dope, and I hit that pen just like, oh yeah, like, fuck, let's do it. Let's get a little crossfaded. And dude, that thing sent me to the moon. And we were at this place, and all I remember was they were playing Al Green, Let's Stay Together. What an absolute tune that is, by the way. And it was live music. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get out of here, because number one, I don't want to have a panic attack in here. And number two, I'm going to have a panic attack because I'm actually going to puke my guts out. So I ran outside. I tried to gather myself. I saw like 6 cops standing in front of the joint. I'm like, okay, well, I can't puke here because who knows what will happen if I puke in front of a bunch of cops. So I ended up just getting in an Uber and just going back to the hotel. And when you get on your bed and you're just spinning, I mean, you're like just an 8-track record. You try to go to sleep, you close your eyes, and it's just the whole room is moving. You kind of sit up on your bed, you're trying to watch TV, now that's spinning. And it's just like, when will this fucking end? So I had to take a shower, I get my dogs up, do some heavy breathing.
Did you get the dogs up?
Oh yeah, dude. I was in one. I mean, that pen, whatever that pen was, whatever in that pen, I don't know if it was dope, crack, or whatever it was, but it sent me to the moon.
Those pens are strong too, Jordan. Like that is the last thing you need when you're that many deep. It's like it's nothing ever good comes out of it.
No, and 100%. And so that night I had to remove myself from the action. Obi said he was banged up until like noon the next day when we met for Irish coffees. Uppy ends up losing his wallet for various different reasons we don't need to get into. And the whole crew is just so in one. We went to this place, shout out to the Blue Line Bar in Kansas City. Actually a pretty cool spot. The only hockey bar in town. Guy's a big Blues fan. So we went in there. I kind of found it. I pulled it up on the map. We sent the boys there as we landed there on Saturday. And this guy had us kind of sign this plaque. Even, yes, myself as a pigeon got to sign this plaque. So how good does it feel, by the way, to sign something these days, even though you don't play and you're just washed up and you're never that good? But it still feels pretty good to sign something, Ozzo.
Oh, it still feels great. I just had a couple months ago, I had a Sioux fan come up and he met me at my warehouse actually because he had like a little Sioux head. He wanted me to sign it. I'm like, fucking rights, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
20, haven't worn the number 20 for 10 years now.
Yeah, give him the old Herbie Hancock.
I almost signed it MM for mini movers.
This guy's plaque had like Brett Hall's signature on there, Chris Pronger, both say like HOF, whatever year, Hall of Fame 2019. And I go and put Jay Swish on there and I write it equally as big as both those guys. So they're going to be looking at that plaque in like 3 years and be like, who was that? Like 43? Was it Mike Weaver? Who was that? Who wore 43 here? So that was pretty funny. But yeah, dude, we were there and oh my God, the big fella, Obi, who's an absolute beauty. He was a guy that could, easily have gone to North Dakota, fit right in with the fellas. But he is a big dude, and he's just a big fella. And I think, in terms of how much he can drink compared to what I can drink, we're on, we're not in the same category. So we were ordering Jameson shots. There was no shortage of Jameson there, Ozzo. I think I walked out of that Blue Line bar before dinner, and I think I probably housed 6 double tequilas, Blanco, and probably at least 6 whiskey shots. And that was the base, which led into 6 old fashions at dinner, probably a couple of shots and some red. So by the time I got to that bar that was playing Let's Stay Together by Al Green, I did not need the dope pen. And then
No.
I get it. And you know what happens. But you were saying you were seeing some of those stories I was posting on my story on IG the next year. Like, oh, fuck. These guys were hung. And yes, we were hung, fella.
Who came up with the slogan to you guys? Slogan of the day was all time. I was loving that so much. We're going to be hungover, but not today.
That was Obi. That was Obi. How good is that?
We're going to win state, but not today.
Yeah, he types in the group chat, Jay Swish, get your ass down here. We were leaving at like 1 o'clock to go to that Kansas City Live. It's 12:30. He goes, I got an Irish waiting for you. We're going to be hungover, but it's not today. So just an absolute quote that we rolled with throughout the day. And then, as guys in their 30s and 40s, like you go to that event and, you kind of have to drink a little Jaeger because it's sponsored by Jaeger and they're paying these guys to be there. Dude, but how bad is Jaeger, by the way? Like, they're not paying me so I can say it. How fucking that stuff is horrible. Like,
it's
dude,
perfect when you're in high school. Maybe
oh my
a freshman,
God.
sophomore in college, because you still got that kind of young kid palate when you're drinking. But that stuff is disgusting. It's like drinking black licorice syrup that has alcohol in it.
Oh my! And it's a weird drunk too. It just feels like an 18-wheeler went right across your brain. It's like, oh my God! Did I just get hit by a stun grenade? Yeah, it's like, and then we had a warm Jaeger shot. Like, I don't know if this guy microwaved them or what he did, but they're supposed to serve them like icy cold, like 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Coming out just so. I mean, at least that's kind of tolerable because it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, that wasn't the case, and he served us warm ones, and I was fighting back to puke, man. It was bad, but yeah, it was a funny crew of legends. The Heat Teddy flew in from Nashville to join the boys on Sunday, so
I wasn't sure if he was going to make it.
I wasn't sure either. I'm actually surprised he did, but by the fourth quarter, he was wearing a vest and he had like this sweater underneath it. And it was hot as hell there, but in vintage Heat Teddy form, after about 8 or 9 Jaeger shots, that sweater came off and he was just full J.R. Smith mode shirt off. It was unreal. Right, that crowd too, dude. It was like a Trick Daddy music video in that crowd. Like, there was what's that?
Crowd looked good.
Crowd was good, yeah. Yeah, crowd was good. It was just it was definitely not probably the missing curfew demographic per se, but like, yeah, I can get down with all walks of life. So I was chopping it up with a bunch of people. We got on stage. We said, a couple of things.
Do you guys like limbo? Are you part of like hockey night in Scottsdale there, or are you part of missing curfew? Are you kind of in the middle, or is it not kind of separate? You guys are all just together doing the same thing. Yeah,
kind of the same because I'm throwing both now with those guys, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like it was a missing curfew sanctioned event, so we kind of just tagged along with that, and that's kind of how we presented ourselves. But yeah, they definitely, we were shouting out Hockey Night in Scottsdale as much as we could too, as well. Good. So yeah, it was good, man. It was fun. Definitely, like, not sure when I'll be back. Who Opie ended up talking to was the Eastern League coach there, the old easy come hard to leave. This guy's name that coaches the Kansas City Mavericks, just when you hear this name, you're gonna be like, that guy coaches in the coast or in the minors. Tad O'Had.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Tad O'Had.
Tad
No
O'Had.
way.
Yeah, I mean that's
an
what
all-time name. That is such a coast name.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's what Obi was calling him, at least. So who knows? But yeah, Tad O'Had. So if that's actually his name, Tad O'Ferda O'Had. So yeah, that's he said he was just a nail gun. He looked like the fucking Kool-Aid man. His upper body was just stacked, and he just had no legs, like chicken legs, but a guy that could throw. You know, just a nail gun.
I bet that guy's got a reserved seat at the old Twin Peaks next to their stadium.
Yeah, 100%. Because they don't play downtown, right? They play outside
they play like in a suburb, and there is a Twin Peaks like right next to the rink where you stay, and that's like where you go to eat when you play the Mavericks there. So pretty funny. Not a bad Twin Peaks.
How funny is the concept of Twin Peaks, though? Really, like you just go in there at noon, and it's all guys sitting by themselves, either at the bar or a high top, two top, or in a booth, depending on if you're really lazy, and they're just having a Miller Lite on draft and staring at tits. Like, dude, you're going back to your job at O'Reilly Auto Parts in about 45 minutes here. Like, you had to come to Twin Peaks because you're that horny. Like, what is going on?
The best part is every single guy in there thinks he's gonna wheel one of the waitresses.
Yes.
Like he thinks he's gonna and they end up not saying anything to him because they're all too scared. Like, oh yeah, I'll just leave my number on the receipt when she comes by. Like, hope she texts me.
Yeah, it's like that guy is sitting there, and it's like if he strikes out, which he's going to, he'll be back the next day, and it gets to a point where he's actually back 5 times that week, Ozzo, and it gets creepy. The waitress is like, Jesus Christ, why does he keep requesting table 13 in my section? It's like, does he really think I'm going to fuck him? There's no chance.
Oh yeah, there's zero chance. But you know what? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So keep swinging, fellas.
It's so funny. It's like a 6-pack of wings, garlic parm, icy cold beer served at 0 degrees, like they always do at Twin Peaks. They keep them icy cold.
They're good.
And you just go in there and you just basically try to sit there, and if you have to, just kind of waistband your boner while your wings come out, because you can't stop looking at Mercedes and her tits and her little, plaid outfit that she pushed them together for you. And you actually think she did that for you. Not just her job requires that. You actually think she did that for you.
She did do that for you. I mean, that's how you want to think going in there. Like, wow, these ladies dressed up for me today. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and the best part is too, Twin Peaks actually has some solid TVs in there, and other than just other things to look at. Like,
it's a good spot.
Yeah, it is a good spot to watch a game. The concept of Twin Peaks and Hooters will always sell in America. It's like death, taxes, and staring at a pair of tits while you're alone, eating wings and drinking beer is as cool as it gets. Like, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. That's America.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, Twin Peaks, shout out to Twin Peaks. Hopefully, maybe one day they'll sponsor us. Ozzo, live show this week at Joe Black's. I know you're on the depth chart to be in a wedding outside of Walker, Minnesota. Shout out to Moon Dance. Fell in love at Moon Dance one time. And a Bobby Clark jersey. It's a story for another day. But, yeah, you will be in a wedding, I believe, on Saturday. But live show at Joe Black's. Dave Hakstol going to pop by the program, so it's going to be Live in 5, Hockey Night in Scottsdale, times Dave Hakstol. So that'll be pretty cool, man. It's going to be funny to see Hack's chin. And you know what I love when I talk to David, and I call him David, by the way, to his face, and he knows that, is it's not out of disrespect. It's out of actually utmost respect, because how much I fucking love the guy. And it's kind of funny, too. But it's going to be funny to see him in that setting, just to even talk to him, man. Like, I haven't really talked to Hack over the years in terms of since, he's been in the National League, been playing. It's hard to keep up with everyone, but it's going to be funny when I can kind of crack him and get that smirk for something I say to him, because it always feels good. If you can make that guy laugh, you can make anyone laugh, Ozzo.
Oh, anyone. He's the hardest guy to get a smile out of. Now, I think that was when he was a head coach. He played the head coach role, right? Like, he's just always serious, and you crack something in the locker room and you can tell, that was like the best feeling ever. You say something in the locker room when he's in there and you can see him walking out. He's got a little smirk on his face. Like, fucking Hack's laughing. Look at him. He's laughing. So, yeah, I mean, you were sending in, to our UND group chat, sending your stories of Hack. And there's so many, man. He's such an all-timer. And like we were saying before we started recording, he's got to be the biggest celebrity in Grand Forks. Like,
yep.
Almost of all time. Like, even I think he's like neck and neck with Blazer. Him and Blazer are probably the biggest Grand Forks celebrities just in that town. Like, he's looked at it as a god. So that would be just unbelievable to have him there on the show. I'm so jealous I'm not going to be there to talk to him.
I know we're gonna miss you, fella. Oof. And maybe there's still a chance. We obviously the guy getting
never
married
say never.
Never say never, right? So who knows? We might see it, but yeah, we're gonna miss you there in terms of playing a man down. But yeah, Dave Hakstol, like he's got to be even just one of the bigger UND celebrities of all time. I mean, he's my favorite coach I ever played for. I just love the guy. I mean, he recruited both of us to go there, and just I think even more so how he changed boys into men at North Dakota. Now, I'm not saying I'm the most mature guy, but I do have a serious side of things. And a lot of the stuff that Hack taught us when it gets down to business it's strictly business. And there's just different things he taught us about hard work and different things in terms of, you can have a good time and you can have a little bit of a leash, but at the same time, when the lights are on, you got to be able to play and snap and go into, whatever it is, if it's a character, an alter ego, or you in that setting. He taught us a lot, man. And I just think how he kind of just herded us into being punks to men. And it was always just so funny when someone would fuck up or get in trouble. And I want to save some of these stories for the live show, and we can talk about them afterwards once we have them on. But it's just like some of those stories are just so funny. Like, oh my God.
They're all time. And he, like you say, he's not only a great hockey coach, but he wants you to be a better person. Like he had probably the hardest job in the world, trying to wrangle us idiots in and trying to make us adults, and I still remember like the nice, the happiest he ever was with me, and like the biggest compliment he ever gave me. Maybe it's because I wasn't that great hockey player, but I actually we were in Philadelphia, Jordan, and some of our guys, we were standing around the bus, and some of our guys like forgot some trash on the ground outside the bus, and I saw it and I went and picked it up and just threw it away. And he was like, hey, that's something, you need to do the rest of your life. And I just really commend you on throwing that away and not just walking away. That carries on in life, and it'll carry over into onto the ice and everything. He's just an all-time dude, man. And he wants to make you a better person.
So sick too when he called us in. I think it was my sophomore year, maybe my freshman year. I don't know if you were there at this point, Ozzo. I think you were, but you definitely heard the speech. But he classified our team into three groups of guys. You had the beer drinkers, you had the whiskey drinkers, and then you had the milk drinkers. I remember him specifically calling the fellas in to his office. It was actually
he called the whiskey crew in.
Yeah, before they remodeled down there, actually, and it was the old coach's office. And he called us in there, and he goes, well, boys, do you know why you're in here? We're like, fuck, we're looking around. We're looking, these are all the beauties on the team. What's going on? He goes, well, these are the whiskey drinkers. And this is the heart and soul of the team. You got beer drinkers, good guys, right? They're going to be around the team. They might go home a little bit early. They might go with their girlfriends at night. They're not going to be there at 2 a.m. when the lights come on and be looking for the after party. These guys in this room, they might have a couple on Tuesday. But you know what? When the game gets dialed in again, they're there in the foxhole, in the trenches with the fellas. And then you got the milk drinkers on the other side of that spectrum. You got to pull those guys into the fight, make them feel a part of the team. They're kind of sitting on the outside looking in, where they need the whiskey drinkers, the core of the team, to pull them in. So that was always the best speech. I just remember getting in that room, and it was like in August or September. I'm looking around like, fuck, Saunders. We got all the freshies. We got all the sophomores at the time in our class. And then we got a couple of the juniors sprinkled in. I'm like, holy fuck. This is about 12 or 13 guys I would go to war with. This is a good crew of whiskey drinkers in here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember. All I remember from that, I remember the speech, too, and him talking about the whiskey drinkers, the beer drinkers. But the funniest part, the aftermath, was he called Brennan O'Donnell in as part of the whiskey crew. And, Odie knew it. He was like, he's a beer drinker. He was not a part of the whiskey crew. And he got called in there, and he was so jacked. He's walking around the rest of the week like, fucking beer drinker pussy. Yeah.
He was one of those guys that would still talk about it to this day if you ask him, like, sup, whiskey crew. He'd be coming up, he's like, whiskey guy, I know you were. No, I am too. He'd always, that's so funny you bring that up, because I remember that he'd go up to a guy and he'd be like, Mark McMillan, he'd be like, fucking milk drinker.
He did it the rest of the year. It was all time.
He would just be like, you go up to like randomly on a Monday, and he was just bullshit. He'd be like, fuck, should we grab a whiskey after this? And it's like, Odie, I haven't even seen you at your own house where you're throwing the parties lately, fella. So I'm going to call you out on that. You might be in the milk crew pretty soon. And I love you, Oates. You're one of the funniest guys I've ever played with, but you're flirting with milk category over here. Oh man, that was so funny. So Yeah, also going to be a big weekend up there. Sioux BU, hell of a series. I played in my freshman year, sophomore year, and then we played them in the junior year in the Frozen Four in Boston. Man, I'm still pissed about that game. That's one of those games, just like the Minnesota game in Philly, that just kind of haunts you. Like, we just didn't play very well. I mean, I would say Zano, our netminder, friend of the show, will have to get him on. I would say he probably would say it wasn't his best game. I know it wasn't my best game defensively. I just think there was a lot of things that, when we kind of got lost in the lights a little bit in that game.
None of us played well.
No, it was over before we knew it. And Eichel played well, but he wasn't like, he took the screws to us. He was gift wrapped that game. And, they ended up losing that year to Providence, I believe. So, yeah, man, that game still haunts me. But this weekend's going to be good. We got a number 3 versus number 7 showdown. BU, number 3 in the country. 7, North Dakota Sioux. So they're coming off a split in Mankato. Also, you went to that game in Mankato, didn't you, on Friday night, or did you go Saturday when they lost? What game did you go to?
I actually ended up not going, but
you did?
I watched both pretty much start to finish. Yeah, I mean, I thought the first night they were down 3-0. They didn't really come out to play in the first 2 periods. And then the third period, they just rained it on them. Like, they should have won that game. And then the second night, it looked like they were just okay with a split. It was like, boys, we need a sweep here. Like,
right.
Split's not okay. Mankato had some players, though. I mean, that's a tough barn to play in. Like, they had it packed in there. So I know it's on the road. If that was at home, I would have liked to see a sweep. But, playing in that barn against Mankato, who is a good program, good coaches too, like, you'll take a split, but I didn't love the effort on Saturday night, Choto.
Yeah, great coaches there. Shout out to Luke Strand, Troy Ward, Keith Paulson, all guys I know, all with Wisconsin ties. So those guys run a tight ship over there in Mankato, Oswald. They're going to be good coming up here in the next few years. They got a great coaching staff. They're getting better players as the years go. Mm-hmm. And I do think they have a really good program in terms of what they're selling to some of these kids that may have offers from bigger schools. So shout out to the Mavericks. We're going to have to get Troy Ward on again. Round 2, but we weren't able to release the first one. Ozzo, let's get over to the National Hockey League. Last night, we're recording on Wednesday. This is Tuesday, and this will drop, I would believe, Friday or Saturday. But I want to get your just thoughts on the Frozen Frenzy, the chatter around it. Did you catch any of the games? Did you see Dylan McElrath throwing down at almost center ice with Nick Delorier? Nick Delorier's first game back for the season. Those guys, those big boys, were chucking bombs. And oh my God, McElrath is one of those guys. His nickname is Diesel, by the way, but he's one of those guys where you see him even off the ice, you're like, do not come anywhere near me, because number one, if that light switch flips, you are a nut job. And 2, your hands are huge. You're just a massive body. Like, credit to that guy for staying with it too. He was a 10th overall pick in 2010. He's been in and out of the jungle, predominantly in the jungle. He's won 2 Calder Cups back-to-back in the last few years. Hershey's captain, but now finds himself in the NHL and sniffing around 80-odd league games. And who knows, he might get to triple digits this season. He's up right now with Washington, but that fight, Ozzo, those guys, like, that was old-fashioned rock'em sock'em, just chucking knocks.
Oh, it was – and Delorier, I mean, that guy is one of the scariest guys in the league. That was – I mean, did you see – I love when the fight ends where it's just 2 of these Goliaths just too tired to keep throwing. So they just, like, look at each other and say, yeah, that's good. We're good. And they skate off. Like, it was unbelievable. That McElrath is so funny because you see him off the ice and he just – his face, he looks like such a nice person. He's got a nice smile. Just looks so innocent. Like, he's a nice guy. Like, hey, nice to meet you. How's it going? And it's just so funny knowing that if that guy, like you said, if his switch just flips, you're fucking dead.
Yeah, and we got a taste a little bit of the switch in terms of at Gersh's wedding this past summer in Minnie when Dylan was there. And as soon as Mr. Brightside came on, he wanted everyone's shirt to come off on the dance floor. Now, it was that type of the night where, things get to 10-odd drinks, and all of a sudden the boys, they start flirting on the dance floor. You take your shirt off. Well, he wasn't giving anyone a choice to take their shirt off because you need to be on that dance floor, and you needed to be half naked. And I remember specifically him chasing Colton Sanderson, Dusky, around the dance floor, trying to get to him and catch up to him so he could Superman his shirt. Because if you didn't have your shirt off at that point, McElrath Diesel was running around and he was just Superman in guys' shirts. So what a Superman is, folks, is when you run up to a guy, and usually with a collared shirt on or a button down, you got your buttons probably 1 down, maybe 2 down, And if you didn't want to take your shirt off, he would come up to you and just Superman that thing, Clark Kent style, and just rip it off. All the buttons go everywhere. Your shirt's fucked. He did it to Nick's shirt. Nick's like, well, I guess that shirt's ruined and I can't say anything. And I guess I got to go on the dance floor with no shirt on because this guy actually might kill me. So that was insane, though. Like, he did, to his credit, get every guy's shirt off, and every guy had their shirt probably ripped in half, or at least half of them. Me, I was wearing not a button-down shirt. It was kind of a short-sleeve shirt. You know my rules at weddings. I don't wear ties anymore. So I was like, this is an expensive shirt. I just got to take this off and hide it because I don't want him to fucking Superman this nice shirt.
Oh,
it was hilarious.
Yeah, that's the last one you want him to Superman. But yeah, it's funny how much pull you have, Jordo, at especially like a wedding like that when everyone's drinking. When you are as nails as McElrath is. Like, you can pretty much get everyone in there to do exactly what you want because they're all scared of you just beating their face in.
Yeah, it was funny to see. So, yeah, he was happy that my shirt was already off, and I was happy that he didn't ruin it. But other than that, great dude, though, as we always say. So, good dude. Ozzo, let's get over to the Frozen Frenzy. Now, every team was playing in the National Hockey League on Tuesday night, and that is 16 teams playing, or 16 games, 32 teams, roughly 604 players, I think was my math, were in action on Tuesday night. But why do they have this scheduled for a random Tuesday in October, especially at the start of the association in terms of the NBA season on opening night? I just think there's a way where you could do it, where you could make this like the Winter Classic, where you're playing every single game on the January 1, like the Winter Classic. So you start at 10 a.m. and you roll it to, say, midnight Eastern. You have some outdoor games. You have some indoor games. A lot of times the NHL, well, they love and they want more outdoor games. So you can maybe play 2 or 3 outdoor games that day. So that's 4 to 6 teams, and then everyone else play inside. Make it like a national holiday, how the NBA has Christmas. Football kind of has 100%. Thanksgiving. So there's a way where it's hockey day in America, or hockey day in North America. It's the Winter Classic. It vibes with the snow vibe, the winter. Now it's a day dedicated to strictly hockey, all teams in action. You roll it the whole day. You wake up. It's doses and mimosas, champagne and cocaine, Irish coffees. And it's like, that's the best part about Christmas Day in the NBA is you wake up and you have a whiskey and a coffee. Boom. Now you have games all day. What if you had this in hockey, Ozzo, on January 1? Yes, some might say you're competing with bowl games, but college football, like, fuck off. Who cares? Make this hockey day. Make it, just the Winter Classic, so all hockey fans can enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Jordan. We actually didn't even discuss this, and I was thinking the exact same thing when I was watching it last night. I had it on all night because I did want to see Weeksy and PK Subban and how Bucci was doing up there, and just to see how the Frozen Frenzy was going and how they were going to do it, because I know last year was the first time ever doing it. I was just wondering, like, why the hell is it tonight? We got LeBron James and Bronny playing in the same game on TNT with the NBA inside the NBA crew. How are you competing with those guys in that game? Like, you're trying to attract hockey fans to watch hockey, right? And you're trying to get people to watch hockey. Well, no one, there's going to be even hockey fans wanting to watch LeBron James and Bronny just because it was like a big event. So, I don't know. I just think we could have scheduled that on a different day. And like you said, make it on the national holiday for hockey. I think it would be great then. I mean, I watched it. I don't know. They went forever. When I was watching sometimes, it seemed like, I don't know if they're looking at the ratings or the viewers that they have, but sometimes it seemed like they're like, oh, is anyone watching this? And it seemed like it got long. Bucci and Weeksy kind of ran out of things to say. I just think, honestly, they should – I don't know how delayed it is, Jordo, but they should just, start the frenzy 30 minutes behind the actual live game time so they can just pop up goals, and signature things that are happening rather than just going to a game and seeing a team cycle around the ozone and then switching off to the next one. Let's have it delayed and then have a guy in Red Zone does, where it's just if they're scoring a goal or doing something or there's a hit or there's a fight, show that part and talk about it for a little bit. And then at that point, there's going to be another goal in another game. I thought it was almost too live, where they were just showing cycling clips and dump and chase. It's I don't know if people tuning in want to watch that really, because if you're a fan of your team, then you're just going to watch your game because you're watching your team. Well, if you're turning into the frenzy, just like if you're watching Red Zone, you want to see goals, you want to see assists, you want to see hits, you want to see fights, you want to see all this stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And you make a great point of staggering the starts and making it for a way where you can enjoy at least some of the game, and instead of just kind of playing ping pong all around and like, okay, now I'm watching Nick Delorier go forecheck a puck and then nothing happens and they break the puck out. Like, no offense to Nick Delorier, but if he's in the offensive zone, probably something's not going to happen, right? Let's just playing the stats here, the old statistics. So, yeah, I just think, like you said, if there's a way where you could just doctor it up where there's a game maybe on the hour from 10 a.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. or 12 p.m. Eastern, depending on time zones, and run it that way all day long. At least then, Ozzo, you could catch a period or two of every game. That way you don't have to be playing ping pong, or they can set it up where and structure maybe one of the channels where they're showing 4 or 5 of the games, or a red zone like option as well, where it's okay, a team's on a power play or it's an overtime, 4-on-4 or a 5-on-3. So there's a way where you could kind of have almost 2 or 3 channels all bought into it, where it's like ESPN1, ESPN2, and then say one of their other networks, right? So I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting kind of a deal or take to make it a little better and just make it like a national holiday. Don't make it some just random day in October where it's kind of just, you're like, oh fuck, it's the frenzy. You turn
don't have it on the NBA opener night. Like people are watching the NBA. Like hockey, I'm sorry guys, but NBA's got more viewership than hockey. So like, you're not going to steal those fans watching the opening night. Like no one wants to watch NBA regular season games 3 and 4. Like no one cares. They care about game 1, and after that, they care about the playoffs. It's kind of, the regular season is kind of a wash at this point in the NBA. So it's like, let's let NBA have their opening night, and then let's do the frenzy. So the opening night's not stealing our viewership. And it was also on ESPN2, Jordo, which they probably don't have enough funding. I noticed there's a lot of audio kind of faulties and like things were going wrong with the audio and some clips and stuff. So that definitely doesn't help either.
Did you see PK Wrenchband absolutely take a digger when he was going studio to studio with the coffees? Was that real? Was that scripted though?
It had to have been.
Right? Like it looked like his digger was just like, okay, I'm going to spill the coffee and then I'm going to tweet out that I spilled the coffee on my jacket that's $4,000 that I got at Balenciaga or wherever I bought this thing at. It just seems so scripted to me, like how he fell. Yeah, it's like
and Weeksy's and Bucci's reaction just seemed like they were acting.
Yeah, and they weren't doing a great job. They're not, you're not when the Academy ain't about that. It is.
No.
Downey Jr. says in Tropic Thunder, never go full retard. So he was close. He was flirting with it. But speaking of going full retard, did you see Jacob Trouba absolutely finding the chin of Baron, I believe his name was, or Baron, on the Montreal Canadiens? Oh my God, that was textbook chin hunting. And the crazy thing, Ozzo, is I think by the book, that's a clean hit, because Baron or Baron, however you pronounce his name, as he pulled up right over that blue line, he was mid-stride. His chin was kind of over his toes in terms of he was leaned down. He was obviously in his base stride skating position, so at a lower angle. Trouba sees him pull up. Trouba, what does he do best? He puts those fucking V brakes on, as he does with his feet, and then stops all of his momentum and just leans his chicken wing right into the guy's shoulder, which ends up being his chin, because again, his chin is over his sternum. And it's just like, you can't call the guy for the hit, but it's directly to the head. And it's just, Trouba is so good at that. It's like he gets a boner and he gets horny every time he sees he can get this guy in a vulnerable position, because he had him lined up from his own blue line. He's like, okay, if this guy pulls up like an idiot, like he is, well, I know exactly what I'm going to do, and I have him cornered right into that coffin corner, and I can absolutely expose him. That hit was, oh, man, I wouldn't want to wear that on or wish that upon anyone, man. That looked like it stung.
You know what? I'm at the point, we've been watching it for so many years now with Jacob Trouba. Like, how do you not learn?
What are you doing?
Trouba had him lined up for, it felt like for 100 feet. Like, it was like, Trouba's going to kill this guy, and he did. It's like, do these hockey players not watch the NHL at all? and they don't know, like, if I'm on the ice against Trouba, like, I'm not like skating down on his side with my head down and like pulling up.
No.
Like,
And
do you not know that? I don't understand. Why do they keep doing it? Are they just that dumb? Because you are going to get injured. He's one of the best hitters to ever play the fucking game. Like, he's going to kill you.
yeah, and how many times have we seen that exact play? Like me and Gucci, we did this how to find the chin tutorial with Hockey Night in Scottsdale that we're going to release. How to find the chin like Jacob Trouba, and our exact clip was that play: a righty skating down the left wall with Trouba playing on his right side. He sees the guy pull up and he launches himself into the chin/sternum of the opposition. Like, who did he do it to? He did it in Marty Necas in the playoffs. He's done it to like 5 or 6 guys in that exact same spot. It's the spot what we call the coffin corner. It's between the top of the circles and the blue line outside of the dots. And it's one of those places on the ice. Yeah, most defensemen aren't going to hit you, but he angled that fucking kid all the way from his own blue line on the offensive side to the defensive blue line. It's like, okay, if this guy pulls up, which he's going to, why? I don't know, because do you know who I am? And this is what I do. Yeah. But he's going to, and now I'm going to kill him. Like, if that kid just got the red line and dumped the puck like a normal guy would or a veteran would, there would have been no hit. But, dude, what are you trying to do, especially on that guy with no numbers with you? Like, he is, you know how horny he is? He's actually got his wrench, tucked into his waistband because he's so horny to hit you. It's like, dude, just chip it by him. And if you have to chip and chase, perfect. Or he angles you out that way, at least, you're not in a spot where you're going to get dummied. Like, that guy was for sure conked after that, no?
Oh, for sure he was. And yeah, it's like, how many defensemen in the league can do that now? There's not a ton. I mean, I know there's a few that you got to be worried about, but Trouba's number one. Like, if I'm a forward in the NHL right now, I'm like, okay, we're playing the Rangers. If I'm on the ice, I'm coming up the left side on Trouba, like, I'm not pulling up because he's going to kill me. And I'm not cutting in the middle either because he might take my head off. It's just, it is what it is. I got to dump it in and play a different game against Trouba because I don't want to fucking die and have CTE the rest of my life. It's like, how are you not thinking of this? I just don't understand it.
I mean, and that elbow just comes unhinged too. It's like the guy, I said it last night on our Hockey Night in Scottsdale stream, it's that elbow becomes unhinged, Ozzo, where it's to the point of it actually has a mind of its own. It's like the guy that can't go to the bar without having 2 drinks and trying to cheat on his wife. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You've literally only had 1 sip of alcohol. Why are you trying to wheel every piece of trim in here? It's like, dude, just relax. So when Trouba sees someone in that, again, vulnerable position where that elbow can get out in chicken wing, because Ozzo, he doesn't finish high, but he's got this right here, right? So if it gets up here, then okay, it's an elbow. But he knows what he's doing. It's the old forearm shiver in football. So he gets it in there and then he tucks, and it's like he's hitting with the shoulder. But anytime you catch a forearm instead of a shoulder, dude, you know how dangerous that is. And whether it looks clean or not, and he's unbelievable at making it look clean, which last night, I think by the book is a clean hit, even though it's fucking sneaky dirty. That chicken wing, man, that forearm is so hard. And you catch someone with that versus just your shoulder or hitting them straight up with your pec, you know how much more dangerous that is getting hit that way.
It is. And you can't, but the thing is about this hit is you can't ban that hit. You can't take it out of the game, or else you might as well just take hitting out of the game, because it's a good hit. It's just, it looks bad. Yeah, I know, but he's the best. He's the best to do it in the NHL right now. I mean, he just dummies guys, and I just cannot believe these NHL forwards keep falling for it. Maybe it's just a bunch of Europeans that he keeps taking advantage of. I don't know. Maybe it's, I picture myself going over to Russia and not really knowing which defenseman to avoid. But I don't know. You'd think like that would be a talking point even in video when you're playing the Rangers. Like, hey, if you're a forward, just do not pull up or else you're out for the season. Like,
I just don't understand. Like, dude, how do you not know who's on the ice? Like, are you that oblivious? Like, every time I would step on the ice, I would know exactly what hand every guy on the other team was, on my team, who my centerman was, the potential of a 4th line player coming on the ice if a guy changes early. Like, how are you not that in tune with the game and just knowing the personnel on both sides? Like, dude, that was literally just a death sentence what that kid did. He just like skated himself in the exact area where this predator wanted to catch a chin. So, yeah, you heads up when you're on the Trouba tracks. Ozzo, I wanted to move over to Maverick Lamoureux. Okay, this kid just got called up to the Utah Hockey Club, and Sean Dursey's going to miss some time. I think 4 to 6 months. I'm hearing with shoulder surgery. Marino is out for a bit, so they're missing 2 right shot defensemen and 2 guys that are NHL regulars and veterans. So dagger for their blue line, but in comes Maverick Lamoureux. And if you remember correctly, Ozzo, Maverick Lamoureux, I believe, was the 25th overall pick, somewhere in the high 20s a couple of years ago for the Phoenix Coyotes, or the Arizona Coyotes at the time, now the Utah Hockey Club. But do you remember when this kid got picked? It was in Montreal, and as soon as the draft selection went through and he went to the stage, his parents immediately stood up and absolutely tongue-darted each other. Straight French kissing, tonsil hockey, tongue darting, whatever you want to call it, Ozzo. Those were his parents. So how horny were they when that happened, number one? And number two, is that kind of tongue darting allowed in public in Utah? Or do the Mormons outlaw that? Because I don't know if you can go straight. I don't know if you can swap that much saliva in Utah in a public setting. So if he scores a first goal or gets in a fight and his mom is wetter than Niagara Falls and his dad is all jacked up on who God knows what, like, I don't know if that's going to be allowed for them to just get it on, like, I mean, you can't just get it on like that, can you?
They're banned from Utah because of that video.
You know what I mean?
I mean, God damn it. That's so funny you mentioned that. I remember that happening. I'm like, Jesus, what are they filming, a porno? I mean, that is a little ridiculous, right? Like,
I mean,
am I out of bounds for saying that? They're fucking, I mean, you could see that their lips weren't even touching. They're just tonguing each other like this.
I mean, that's what I said. Like, that was like Game 7 level tonsil hockey, and just like the exchange of the tongue dart. I mean, dude, you could walk away with something like that with some serious repercussions. We're talking mono, we're talking different STDs. I mean, the amount of saliva these guys were exchanging. I mean, good on them that they're married and happily married. It looked like, at least, but yeah, I mean, they were getting it on like Susan and Ricky Bobby in that bar in Talladega Nights. It was just like a couple high schoolers fucking making out. It was crazy.
It was a little much, I thought, but again, to each their own. If you want to make out after your son goes first round, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Who are we to say? And Ozzo, I wanted to mention Stevens Point, Wisconsin native Cole Caulfield, who recently changed his number to 13 to wear in honor of his friend and icon hero Johnny Gaudreau. Cole Caulfield's got 6 goals, 1 assist. He's an early candidate for the Cy Young Award winner over here at Live and 5. Again, we're only 6 games in, but Cole Caulfield has 6 goals. He has 1 assist, so that's great for the Cy Young in terms of his numbers. Keep throwing, keep pitching well, fella up in Montreal. Ozzo, is this a kid that we think can get 40? It's crazy to say he's the best 30-goal scorer that's never scored 30. He's always been around 28, 29. He's been hurt a little bit. But is he one of those guys that can have a breakthrough year? And I just think he's such a streaky scorer. Not like, in a way where he's not going to score for 10 games and then score 4 or 5 in a row. But he's one of those guys I think that's just like streaky. Like once he sees one go in, like that net looks pretty big for him.
It does. I just remember watching him in college too at Wisconsin. I do think this guy's going to be a 40-goal scorer eventually. I think hopefully the Canadians will get a little better. I think if he's on a good team, he gets 40. I don't think he gets there this year. But eventually, I do think he gets 40. I think the guy just knows how to talk the puck. And it looks like our boy Brock Besser didn't forget how to do that either. Yeah,
Besser's off to a good start. Caulfield's off to a good start. A lot of guys snapping it around in the National League. One guy that's not off to a great start, Ozzo, and he's got, I believe, 2 goals in his last 23, 24 games, is Connor Bedard, a.k.a. Connor Bedard. Is this kid overrated? Is he slipping a little bit, or is it just the old sophomore slump? Got to find my way a little bit. Obviously, he's a great player, but is he maybe not that player we think he is yet to this point? Or is it simply just 6 games in, Swishy, shut the fuck up, don't hit the panic button? He still has 7 points in 6 games. He just only has one tuck.
Yeah, I think it's just it might be a McDavid thing. You remember when McDavid wasn't really trying to score that much? He was just racking up assists, passing the puck around, sharing the pill. I think that's a little bit like this. I have full confidence in Bedard to to be who – I don't know if he is who everyone says he is right now, but I think he will be. And I don't think there's any doubt about that, really, in my mind at least.
Who do you think, hypothetically speaking, will be the better player when it's all said and done? We're sitting here with a guy that's 6 games into his career and he's hurt right now, and Connor Bedard, who's 1 season under his belt, who also spent time on the IR. Like, who do we think is going to be the better player, Macklin Felabrini or Connor Bedard?
I just have to go Bedard, just from he's Canadian, so unfortunately I'm gonna favor the Canadian. And one of the biggest reasons, Jordo, he's in Chicago. I think it's a much. You know what? The Sharks center, the Sharks organization actually throughout history has actually been a pretty good organization. They've had some good teams. They develop players. For some reason, I'm not too high on Celebrini, man. I never really saw that he was. I was honestly more excited to see Will Smith going this year with the Sharks than I was Celebrini.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. And I think Bedard, obviously being an undersized guy, he'll figure out his game. And Felabrini is a little smaller too. I just think something about that Indian head, something about his swagger, Bedard, kind of reminds me of Patty Showtime Kane a little bit in terms of he just has that little just prick in him. And Felabrini, I think, will get there. He seems like a really nice kid, a little bit maybe more of a nerd biscuit, I would say. I mean, all these kids these days are a little bit nerdy, but I don't know.
That's why I think that, Jordo. I think it is just the way his face looks. He looks kind of soft. His face just does. Yeah. Nothing against you, Macklin. You're a good-looking kid. Just maybe, fucking snarl a little bit when the camera's on you, because you just look like kind of soft sometimes when I see you, and I just don't. It makes me feel a certain way. Yeah,
you maybe get that lumber in your teeth, bleed all over them, let them know you're there. Slap shot, something just to maybe get a little, just stiffen up that upper lip a little bit, just a little fuck you to your game. Like Bedard, kind of even all early in the season, man. I know he's got fucking the mob around him in terms of Foligno and Patty Maroon to protect him, but he's a little feistier this year. He seems like he's more confident in the league. It seems like maybe he want to do the offseason and put on some strength, and he trusts his body more. And but I think I'm leaning with you there too. So Azo, let's get over to the ad read from Broshin, and we will do NFL Week 8 locks.
Yeah, NFL Week 8 is brought to you by Broshin Sunscreen. Are you tired of your girl hassling you about wearing sunscreen on the golf course? I am. I know I am. She always tells me to wear it. My mom tells me to wear it. It sucks. Okay. I don't want to bring that big fucking tube with me. Okay. That's why we created Broshin and simplified the process by conveniently packaging the sunscreen into single-use packets sold on Amazon. Everyone's got Amazon Prime. You got the app on your phone. Need some sunscreen. Just go on Amazon, type in Broshin, get a couple packets, make your girlfriend, make your mom happy. Save your skin if you're out in the sun, golfing, whatever you're doing. It's good shit, okay? So always wear protection.
Broshin, single-use packets. Again, you just throw it on, throw it away. You don't have to carry that big tube around like it's a bottle of Jergens. It's always just, if you're traveling, you can throw it in your toiletry kit. If it's in your golf bag, wherever you're going, I just think it's easy to use, fellas, especially down here in AZ. If you're making the trip south to play some golf this winter, hey, you can even use it then. And then especially in the summers for the Midwest beauties, the Canadian folks, obviously on the lake, golf course, you need that sunscreen. Even if you don't think you need it, throw it on. Protect the sun, Come on, stay a while, baby. If you can't tone it, tan it. But at the same time, just, protect yourself from those UV rays. So go over to Broshin.com. Check that out. Azo, Week 8 locks. Who do you got for me, baby?
Yeah, I'm in you know what? Why don't you go first? I kind of still want to look at mine and think about mine a little bit.
I got mine here. I got them ready to fire. My locks of the week for Week 8 football, I got the Cardinals plus 3.5 at Miami. I just thinking coming off that Monday night win, Kyler Murray, he might be a little autistic. He might play too many video games. Nothing wrong with both, folks. I'm just saying. I think they're going to get it done in Miami. Tua, he's practicing again, Azo. We don't have to get into that, but we'll see where that goes. I just think the state of Miami, the Cardinals, road dogs, getting 3.5, 3 and a hook. They're going to go in there. I think they're going to win that game. So I would maybe even tease them money line, do it on the points and the money line. You could go with it that way. Again, another lock I have is Green Bay -4 at Jacksonville. I just think Jacksonville is trash. Green Bay got it done last week. They didn't cover, but they still beat the good Houston, Texans, and I think they're going to go in there to Jacksonville and roll those guys over like a redheaded stepchild. So I got them going to play Trevor Lawrence, who we've absolutely shredded on here before. So those are my 2 locks. Azo.
Good picks. Yeah, I went 0 for 2 last week. I missed the Green Bay one, which hurt because they won the game and they did not cover. Terrible as a Vikings fan. And then I also got blown out on I really underestimated the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they killed the Giants. What an embarrassment for the Giants. Get Danny Jones out of there. This week, I'm going to take the Commanders +3 at home. This is a 5-2 team. I know Jaden Daniels is injured. They're still a good football team, and I forget who their backup quarterback was. Who was it? What's his name? Marcus Mariota. He came in. He threw 2 touchdowns. He looks serviceable. Okay, and the Bears they're favored 3 points in Washington playing the Commanders. I just don't like that, so I'm going to take the Commanders +3 at home. That is my lock. And then I will also, if you guys are feeling a little frisky, sprinkle a little bit on those Detroit Lions, -11 at home against the Titans. The Titans are a candy-ass chicken shit team. And these Detroit Lions, my God, do they have firepower.
Yeah, I like that pick. Who is the born-again virgin playing this week as he started last week for the Steelers and Mike Tomlin's club there in the Rust Belt? Who are they playing? Because he looked all right, man. You know what I mean?
Rusty looked good on second half. I mean, the first half, I was like, you got to put Fields in. This guy sucks. And then second half, he came out slinging it. He's still got his arm there. Yeah, they're playing the Giants. They're favored. They're at home against the Giants, favored by 6.5. And you might want to sprinkle some on the Steelers. Those Giants are fucking pathetic.
That is, I think that might be the lock of the week in terms of. I might even sprinkle that one instead of looking at that Green Bay game or Miami game. I would maybe say I'm going to keep the Green Bay game. I would look at that Steeler game over the Cardinals, but I think those teams will both get it done. Now, listen, who knows what we're going to be talking about next week? I might be 0-3, but yeah, dude, Mike Tomlin, like, that guy just wins. And not only does he give his players black Air Force Ones to start the season, the old drive-by ones, but it just seems like every year whatever he touches is gold. And I thought that game, Azo, especially with Trump in the stands, AB in the stands, like, how the hell were the Steelers home dogs against the New York Jets? It didn't seem right to me. Now, they did blow them out, and hindsight's always 20/20, but I just think a lot of the money probably was on the Jets because all these
because
New York
of Devontae
people,
and A-Raj. Yeah. The money was there, so the line, it was a fake line.
It was a fake line.
Yeah.
100% it was, because it just felt like after the game was over, I was like, that line just didn't make any sense to me. I know, again, they blew them out, whatever, but it just seemed the Jets are not as good as people think they are and how they bet on them. So
they're terrible, and I feel bad for A-Raj. I don't feel bad for him, but I also wanted to see him do well. And then Devontae Adams goes in there. Actually, before he got traded, he went and lost to the Steelers, and then he gets traded and plays the Steelers and loses to them again. So that's tough.
Yeah, that's the old 1-2 punch right in the cock. Azo, let's get over to one-hitters with the captain. My one-hitter for you this week, well, it's kind of based in and around what's going on in the state of the country right now. And I just wanted to ask you, if you could pick one man or woman outside of the candidates running for president this year, who would your pick be and why?
To run for president.
Yeah, and be our president. Like, take the reins. Take the bull by the horns, as White Goodman would say.
Well, to be honest, God, I don't love – I actually like DeSantis. I like Ron DeSantis. He's in his prime for knowledge. Like, Jordo, everyone's got their prime for whatever they're doing. Athletes have their prime. It's like 28 to 32 is kind of their prime when they're at their peak. But I've looked this up. The smartest you are, like, is when you're like 50 to like 55. That's when you have like gained enough knowledge. Your brain's still there. You're still physically fit. You're healthy. You've got motivation. You've got energy. So that is kind of like the sweet spot I'm looking at. You know who's a dark horse, Jodo, which I actually wouldn't mind, which seems ridiculous, but he's a very smart dude. He's got a work ethic, and he does want the best for people, is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yep, I had him written down for one of your potential. And do you think he's smart enough and knowledgeable enough? He does have the leadership qualities. He's got the figure for what America should look like and who it should be run by. But is he? You think he's knowledgeable enough to do that?
I don't know. Like, if I were to throw him in there right now, I'd like to see him be like a governor first, at least. I think a little bit, like have some experience in politics. But again, like Donald Trump, he didn't have any experience in politics. I mean, he's got business experience. It's kind of the same thing. You kind of run the company as a business. You should at least, and try to make a profit, which we are not. We're in a debt. But I think The Rock knows enough about business. He's been around the world. He's done a ton of things. He's in a ton of, he's acted. He knows a ton of people. He's got connections. He knows how to, he's got people skills. I think with the right people around him, he could definitely do the job.
Yeah, and I just think, obviously, there's presidents that are X's and O's guys that will really break things down. Now you have it on the other side, similar to coaches, where it's a motivator. It's more of a guy you're willing to run through a wall for. And I think that would align with The Rock. He, to me, is like the Dan Campbell of head coaches if he was the president. Yes. He's going to get the country behind you. And what he may lack in knowledge, he surrounds himself with people that do know that inside of his cabinet or on his coaching staff. So now he's the face. He's the guy that's the rah-rah guy that gets you to run through that wall, makes you feel important, brings you in like you're special. And if there needs to be one of those tactical decisions to be made, I think he's smart enough and realizes enough he would surround himself with the right sort of people. So I like that move. Would he ever want to do that? I'm not sure. Probably not. Who would want to actually take on that role? Because at the end of the day, holy fuck, man, talk about a headache. But if there's one guy that could do it, I think he could. Another name I just threw out there would be funny, and I don't think he would compare anywhere near the level of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but Dave Portnoy would be pretty funny in office. I think, he's definitely a successful businessman. I think the way he can communicate, he seems to me, at least, he may lean a little bit right, but he is fair in a sense of he's not an extremist. I think he can see both sides of the ball. And at the end of the day, ultimately a pretty good leader. I mean, he's put Barstool on the map to the point of being $1 billion company almost, right?
Yeah. And I'm just over, and I think most of America is probably on the same page. I'm just over this, we have to choose from someone far right and someone far left, and it's just get rid of all this, arguing bullshit. Half these policies, like if you look at all these policies, you'd be split half and half on what the right wants all these ridiculous things, the left wants all these ridiculous things. The majority of the country wants kind of everything in the middle, and they just want to get rid of those fucking outside things. And if we could just find someone to do that, I don't know why we can't do that. It's like going back to the old days where we used to have debates where they wouldn't just be at each other's head the whole time. They'd kind of agree on a lot of stuff, actually. You don't even see that nowadays. It's like everything the other person says is wrong and they're an idiot. And it just doesn't make sense.
Yep. And if there's one thing both sides can agree on to wrap this up, Michelle Obama has a wrench. That is at the end of the day. So, folks, moving right along to the People's Insider Term of the Week. I haven't done this one, Ozzo. Have I yet? Have you done the Bone Rattler? Have I done it?
No, I don't think you have.
Okay. I don't think I've done it either. I was just thinking at the top of that. But this week's People's Insider Term of the Week is Bone Rattler. And what the Bone Rattler is, folks, well, guys that have played in the minor leagues, guys that have worked their way through the easy come, hard to leave ECHL. They've been in the American League, a.k.a. the Jungle, and maybe found themselves in the show or maybe in these minor leagues for the rest of their life. And I know it. You know it all too well. That is the Bone Rattler. And that is when you load up the bus, the old fucking mega bus, whatever you're on, and you get on that goddamn thing like it's the Greyhound. and you just start pounding pavement all across America and Canada. Ozzo, there's nothing worse when that bus breaks down and you're on the side of the highway and it's in between game 48 and 49, and you just played a game in Belleville, Ontario, in front of somewhere under 48 people, your skunk and your agent. Your agent's telling you you're getting called up next week. Your wife wants to leave you. And well, you know what? I got to be in Cleveland tomorrow, baby. And we're not going to get there till 6 in the morning. And we have a game at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse at 3 p.m. and the ice won't be in before warm-ups. You're actually going to have to put on your skates and stretch outside of your locker room before, because there's a Cleveland Cavalier game going till, well, 1:30. So the bone rattler is that thing, that bus you get on that 18-wheeler, and every time you try to get comfortable, it just rattles every orifice of your body. Oh, you get off it, your back's stiff, your lower lumbar spine, you can't even feel it. Your groin's tight. Your neck is fucked. No matter how you try to sleep on it, you feel awful. Guys try to sleep on the floor. Guys try to sleep in their seats. Ozzo, how brutal is just sitting there and being on the bone saw, the bone rattler, and just fucking, just basically draining your life away on that thing?
There ain't nothing worse. On the bone rattler, you're breathing in fart fumes from the last 8 hours. So you had 30 guys in the bus just farting their pants. It's terrible. Yeah, I used to hate Jordo. I'd try to, like, if you don't have a sleeper, you're trying to sleep on those like charter bus seats and you like can't get comfortable and you're like, fuck, this sucks. Like, I'm gonna try to lay on the floor, and then the floor is like 200 degrees and it's like a oven that you're laying on. It's like, okay, I gotta get off. I'm sweating. Maybe I'll just gear down and get naked and just get all this dirt all over my skin and just try to lay here. Nope, that's not working. I'll go back up and break my back and try to sleep on these 2 charter bus seats. Like, it's, oh man, that is one thing I do not miss.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're the guy sleeping on the floor on the yoga mat, and some dude steps on your face because he's trying to get to the shitter, and he's actually trying to like crowd surf over these chairs. And then all of a sudden his sock slips on one of the armrests and he just fucking whacks you right in the head. It's like, oh my God. But yeah, the old bone rattler, Ozzo, don't miss those days. But, you know, some of the funnier times are spent, and a lot of good content, if you will, is on the bone rattler. Ozzo, lastly, nail gun of the week. And I am going to give a shout out to Syracuse's finest, Danny Walcott, a.k.a. Danny Sawcott. This young man has been in Syracuse for 10 years, absolutely blowing guys up like he's a suicide bomber out of Hiroshima, landing in the chin of Pearl Harbor. Danny Walcott is a guy that just has played on the 4th line for the Syracuse Crunch for literally a decade. He worked his way up through ACHA hockey, which I believe is club hockey. He found himself in the easy come, hard to leave, and then is in Syracuse for 10 odd years. He's a guy, when he sees numbers, he speeds up. When he absolutely has you in a bad spot, your elbow, well, your face is going to be wearing his elbow. Danny Walcott is the face of the Syracuse Crunch. He might end up spending more time in Syracuse than the late Jim Boeheim did with the Syracuse Orangemen. He was there for 40-odd years running the zone defense. So Danny Walcott's my nail gun of the week. I posted a tweet the other day, and I said death, taxes, and Danny Walcott being in Syracuse are 2 of life's non-negotiables. And he actually responded to my tweet. And I said, fella, keep going. You're a nail gun. I love your game. I mean, one shift I remember in Syracuse, Ozzo, it was our first game of the year at the War Memorial in Syracuse, and that ice is just terrible. So it benefits a guy like Walcott because he's out there with the shovel, and yeah, he's chipped in a little bit more offensively over the years. But I mean, he's literally a kamikaze on the ice. He ran a guy from behind in our defensive zone. He put Garrett Wilson almost through the boards. It was a cheap hit too. Willie chased him around after, couldn't get to him. He goes into his defensive zone, blows a guy up in the trapezoid, trying to cycle a puck. He like pops out in front of the net, hammers a guy. Mm-hmm. And then in our end, he flips a puck in and he comes on me. He finishes me like 4 seconds late. I'm like, it's because somebody fucking fight this guy. And the thing is he wouldn't fight Willie because Willie's a heavyweight. So Willie's chasing him around the rest of the game. Hey, I'm going to fucking kill you. And Walcott's just buzzing around like he's, again, a suicide bomber, just killing guys. I think he had 17 hits that night. But we somehow greased out a win like 2-1, but we got absolutely buzzed. So I just remember in the locker room, every period we'd be like, well, Walcott, fuck off. Like, who is this guy? And all the boys would look at me like, oh, it's your first year in the East, isn't it, Swish? I go, yeah, but like, what's going on? He's like, well, you've never played in the North Division? I'm like, no. We're like, well, this guy's a staple. He's like the Liambus of the North. I'm like, holy fuck. So yeah, he's one guy.
I'd rather play against enforcers than those guys.
100%, because he could actually move out there and play a little bit. So yeah. Who is your who do you got for your nail gun of the week, brother?
I got Max Holloway. He's fighting this Saturday, win or lose. He is my nail gun of the week. This guy is just all time. He's the guy that does the point down, come to the middle, and he kind of explained why he does it. So he's like, he released this quote. Just remember, guys, when you guys do the point down, it's stay there and swing, not point down and take a couple steps back. He's like, it's me being a professional. If I feel like I'm winning the fight, I want to give the other guy a chance to win the fight. So we're coming to the middle. We're standing there. You take your best cracks. I'm taking mine. If I die, I die. That's what he says. So yeah, this guy is all time.
He is nails. And we actually saw him on the course during our sandbagger. And I was like, oh my God, him and Justin Gage. I was like, who are these animals? Yeah. That's crazy that he's like, all right, let's get to the middle of the octagon. Let's start fucking throwing and see what happens. But I like that pick, Ozzo. Those were our nail guns of the week, folks. Again, Tage Thompson, TNT Thompson, joining the program. Up next, former 47 goal scorer. I think he's probably going to get 50 this year. Knock on wood. But Ozzo, let's send it over to Tage. Fella, with you. Always tape to tape. Always D to D. Going to miss you this weekend, fella. But you know what? I'm still not ruling it out. Don't count you out yet. So we'll talk on, next week. Again, folks, that was the pre-show over here at Live in 5. Alrighty, folks, now introducing from the mean streets of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Folks, that is the top 10 after 10 most dangerous places in North America. Standing at a modest 6 feet 6 inches, veteran of 300 NHL games and counting, first round pick of the St. Louis Blues years back, 47 goal scorer, Tage TNT Thompson, fella, reporting live from the chin of the Rust Belt. That is Buffalo, New York, one of my favorite spots. Tomer, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. And we go actually kind of way back to the St. Louis days. We were roommates, if you remember, for about a 3-month stint there in St. Louis. And I remember just coming to your room. You're about a 19-year-old kid. I'd walk in there. You'd just be sitting there gaming, eating Emo's pizza, trying to put on any weight you can. Because back then, fella, you were a dangly young man. So it's good to see you again. Thanks for popping on, bro.
Great to see you, brother. What an intro. Holy, you got me fired up.
Yeah, dude. It's like I always tell the people, it's a mix of a strip club DJ and the old school Chicago Bulls. So that was just right off the cuff. Sometimes I write it down, sometimes I freestyle. But you are in Buffalo. You're back home. Obviously, a great start to the season for you. Got about 8 points, I believe, in 8 games, 5 goals. So you're tucking nice with that toe curve. And I was skating with you a little bit this summer actually, and you were looking crispy. I was like, "Fuck, Tomer, this guy can stay healthy," which I hope he does. He's gonna have a big year. So how's it been at the start of the season up there? How's the new coach? How was training camp? Lindy Ruff, did you have to break out the flexoll a little bit in some of those days? Because it probably was a little bit of a harder camp than you're used to.
Oh, yeah. So when he got the job, he called me right away, and he's like, "Hey, you better be ready for camp." And it was like one of those, like, straight to the point. I was like, "Oh, shit." And so he had me worried right from the get-go. And you saw, the skates in AZ, they're a good drip.
Yes.
Yeah, good rinses. No, training camp was great, good pace, a lot of compete, but definitely a lot of days on the table afterwards. But obviously not the start right away we wanted out in Prague. But I think we kind of caught our groove now and getting a little bit of streak here going. So the boys are playing well and looking to turn this into something.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, the young core we'll get into a little bit, and Ozzo's joining us from the back seat of his car. So what a grinder he is. He's gutting it out over here. Just drove to Walker, Minnesota, just somewhere in bumfuck northern Minnesota, right to an interview. So Ozzo, what up? But Tomer, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off that point. Like, Was it a little bit different starting the season off in Prague in terms of just, finding it, first game, 2 games over there. It's you fly over, you take the bird into the chin of Prague or on the Charles River. Like, was it a little bit different? Did it take a little bit to get adjusted to the time zone coming, over there or coming back at all? Or was it pretty much just like, once the puck dropped, it was all good?
No, it was different for sure. That was the first time I'd done anything like that. Like, we flew over there. We were there for 12 days, I think. Like, we did Munich for 4 and then went to Prague right after. Did a, exhibition game in Munich. But the last 2 days of the trip were like the 2 regular season games. So we were there like 10 days just leading up. So it was kind of just a long build up and kind of a grind. And like after 7-8 days, you're like, all right, let's get to it now.
Right.
No, cool experience for sure. Like seeing the cities and stuff. And we were over there in Munich for Oktoberfest. So that was cool. But nice to kind of get back in like a regular groove of things. Obviously it's, like I said, cool experience going over there, but kind of a little longer than it needed to be, in my opinion.
Did you end up going full beer fest with it at all? Did you get a night out in Munich in terms of the boys, some team building maybe before the season started?
Oh yeah, it was great. We did the whole Oktoberfest one. Wore the what are they called?
I saw your outfits. I don't know what they're called.
But... Yeah, the lederhosen.
Yeah.
So we wore those, and then JJ is actually from there. Like he's 10 minutes from where we were staying. So he was like kind of showing us around and stuff. So it was sick. Good bonding, like you said, for the guys to get over there, and we got some new guys on the team too. So great morale, great bonding heading into the season. Obviously, lose the 2 first ones, but no, I think we got a tight group, and we're starting to find it right now.
Yeah, long season too, right? You go over there, it's it's a little bit of excitement. You're there, you lose a couple, whatever. But those beers, man, those are stiff beers. I think those are about like 10% beers or something. I remember when I was in Switzerland, I was doing a little Oktoberfest myself, right in Zurich, and you got to kind of you got to pace yourself a little bit. But hey, dude, I wanted to ask you, like, so did you know it was Bob Dylan that you were inviting to the game in the elevator? And can you confirm that was you? I mean, your outfit going to that game was nasty, but did you know it was the singer and rock star Bob Dylan in the elevator with you? Or were you just like, hey, man, like, you look like a cool dude. You speak English. Want to come to the game? Here's a couple tickets, fella.
So we were at so this is in Prague, and this was going like to our first regular season game. I don't even know if it was me, to be honest with you. Like everyone saw that tweet, and they're like, did anyone talk to him? And no one said anything. I was like, thinking back, like, well, I was in the elevator with like 3 older guys, and they asked why I was all dressed up in a suit. And I was like, oh, I'm going to a game. And that was pretty much the extent of it. So I don't know if it was him. Like, still don't know. But so far, like chatting around the room, like no one else has ran into an older guy in an elevator. So the odds are looking that it was probably me. And if it is, then that's probably not a good look for me.
I wouldn't have known either, Tomer.
Like when you're in an elevator and like you kind of don't want to make eye contact with anyone. You just kind of keep your head down. So I just, like, as you would say, Schmaltz, I just had my chin tucked, and I was just kind of head down, and just a quick, explanation on why I was looking good. And then doors open and I was out of there.
Well, Tomer, that's why I always wear these shades too, whether I'm on a call, whether I'm hungover, whether I'm going into a game. Maybe I'm even in a nightclub at night with my shades on, or I'm on an airplane, because I don't want to see anyone looking at me. And if they are looking at me, they can't see my eyes. So no matter the situation, it's a veteran tip. Always have the shades on, baby, even if it's not sunny, right? So you get into those awkward situations. But dude, I wanted to ask you, just in terms of the young core in Buffalo, like, you guys got a lot of nice pieces there in terms of, obviously, you, Darlene, Tuck seems like a heart and soul guy, Samuelson on the back end, JJ you mentioned, and Peyton Krebs, like some of these younger guys and the fellas, like, there's got to be, even though you've struggled a little bit through the years, there's still got to be general excitement to want to win, to want to do it together. So just touch on the locker room a little, because there's got to be a lot of just young testosterone flowing around there, and a lot of chirping and different things, team dinners on the road. It's got to be a fun mojo in Buffalo in terms of just the core you guys have. Yeah,
it's the best. It's honestly like one of the best groups I've been a part of. I feel like I've said it every year, but the guys we lose, the guys that come in, I mean, they don't even miss a beat. Like, it's like they've been here the whole time. We've added Kubel, Mallenstein, Lafferty. Like, these guys just come in and they're Gilbert. Like, it's like they've been here the whole time. So we got a great group of guys, like a lot of young guys, a lot of guys hungry to get better, and guys that like to have some fun too, you know. So every day you come to the rink, it's just you know, like you said, pushing each other, chirping guys, just the typical atmo you want in a locker room, right? So it's got that country club feel, but all business when you're on the ice. So it's a fun group to be a part of.
Tomer, I got to ask about a guy named Connor Clifton. Now, I played with Cliffy in Ann Arbor. Does this guy still have a little screw loose? Because, you know, when I was playing with him, pound for pound, he's kind of a smaller guy, but pound for pound, he was one of the tougher guys I've played with. So is he still got a little bit of that snarl to his game, or is he kind of toned it off?
No, he's still got it. I mean, I played against him when I was at UConn and he was in Quinnipiac, and that was like him and his brother just running around trying to murder people.
Yeah.
And he's still got it. I love seeing him run around on the ice trying to kill guys, and honestly, like one of the best guys in the locker room away from the rink too. Just such a good such a good guy. He'd do anything for you. But yeah, you don't want to cross him. He'll let you have it.
Yeah, he's like that guy you think you'll lay out. Like you're like, oh, I'm gonna go bury this guy, and then you hit him, and you're like, you lose your breath. Like,
so solid.
What the hell is this guy made of?
Yeah, he throws one of the hardest reverse hits ever.
Oh yeah.
Tomer, I wanted to just touch on in terms of the Buffalo fan base. Obviously, very loyal fans. They do love their Sabres. They do love their Bills. Bills Mafia, that transfers over to the Sabres, obviously, during the hockey season. So just in terms of just the vibe around Buffalo, obviously, we were talking a little bit before the show. There has been really good crowds at the KeyBank Arena to start the year. And even when I was there last year, you guys were a little bit out of the mix in terms of a playoff position. But the excitement is there, man. And I just think if you can get that team into the playoffs, get a little bit of just mojo behind it, like that city, it's just such a good hockey city. And I just think, yeah, there might be long winners. Yeah, if you're a single guy, Chippewa Street, you're taking home a 6. Maybe it's not New York City, but I just want to say to you, like, you can feel that when you guys are winning, you know, even if it's one game or if it's a big win on a Saturday night, like the people of Buffalo, they rally around it, man. And they live and die by Sabres hockey, don't they?
Yeah, they're just starving for success, and rightfully so. Like, they haven't had it in a long time, and you know they're starting to get it from the Bills now. But you can see it, like you said. Like, we just had a game against Dallas, big win. Place was rocking, and they get so fired up for just like one win, you know. And a few years ago, we went on a 10-game win streak, and it was the loudest atmosphere of all time that I've ever been a part of. And they just want winning hockey, and that's what we want to give them. Obviously, it sucks that we haven't been able to do that, and we're pushing for that. But if we can do that, it's going to be one of the toughest places to come play for sure.
Yeah, Tomer, I don't know if Jordo's already asked you this, but you know, recently you've probably become almost the face of the Buffalo Sabres now. How much weight does that put on your shoulders, you know, when you're gearing up for the season, or do you try to just keep things the same and you try to block out that energy? Because I just know when you do get into those roles, a little bit of that weight does kind of come on your shoulders, especially before the season. I think just thinking about it, like, all right, I got to carry, you know, I got a job to do and I got to do it well. So have you felt that, and are you dealing with that any different way, or just business as normal?
No, you definitely feel it, but I like having that little pressure on you. You know, I feel like it makes you play better. You know, not that you're doing it for the fans, but obviously you want it for them. But I mean, it's more so just for the guys in the room, right? Like you want to compete for them, want to win for them, and I think the rest kind of takes care of itself. But that added pressure of like, hey, I got to perform here is like something that I feel like I try to thrive under. And I think if you listen to it too much, it's not a good thing. But I also don't think you can completely ignore it.
For sure.
Tomer, one spot in the beautiful Rust Belt, right in the heart of it, is Mother's Kitchen. Now, last year I was there, and actually a true story. I think one of the cooks tried to stab me. We were sitting at a back booth over there, and the reason I think he was getting a little bit offended because my counterpart in the Heat Daddy was actually making out with a girl, and it was a waitress right in there on her shift. Like, she would go over to our table, kind of sit down on his lap. They would play a little tonsil hockey, and then she'd go over to table 16 and now serve them their surf and turf. I've never seen anything like this before, and the Heat Daddy's told the story a few times publicly. So I was in Mother's Kitchen last year late night, and we were sitting there, and some reason I think, you know, the fornication or maybe something was said, something happened. But I don't, use it against it because Mother's Kitchen is one of my favorite spots I've ever been. It's just got that home feel. It's got that old school supper club. Late night, you can go in there. You can still get a steak. So is this a spot that you and the boys maybe, not giving away all your spots, but maybe you say you've been there before?
Oh, I've been there for sure. It's definitely one of my spots. Yeah, great atmo. Turn the lights down low. They'll stick you in a corner. Kitchen's open late, so after a game you can go grab a few drinks, get a nice steak. Just good mix of Buffalo's finest.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was sitting in there and you just had all walks of life of Buffalo. The guy in there sitting at the bar with the leather Sabres jacket. Then you had a guy on a date. It's just, you had the whole ambiance. And they do play good tunes in there too, Tomer. You know what I mean? The aux cord is dialed. It's like anywhere from old school rap to a little Al Green. Let's stay together when the lights go low. It's got that Detroit Buffalo twang to it. Yes.
For sure. Yeah. It's one of my favorites.
Tomer, have you noticed, like, how are the fans in Buffalo? Like, do you have to kind of walk around now? Like, I don't want to be seen in this grocery store. Is it kind of low key? People leave you alone, or have you noticed any difference there?
Yeah. I mean, they come up to you, but they're pretty like chill about it. Like there's really no one that's been outrageous. Come say hi, ask for a picture or whatever. But for the most part, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like they're down to earth people here, and they're just diehard fans, so they just get excited when they see anyone that's on the Sabres or the Bills. And I think that's awesome. I like seeing the passion from the city and, seeing people out and about that show their support. It's nice to see.
And Tomer, just in terms of your game personally, I mean, from when I saw you to where you are now, I mean, you were a lengthy kid. You were arguably, just growing into your body. You were kind of Bambi on skates, and now you're a guy that's going to score hopefully 50 goals one of these years and do it multiple times. But I'm just so impressed from your progression, staying with it. I think it really shows how competitive and how mentally tough you are, fighting through it a little bit in terms of the minor leagues as a first-round pick, especially coming up through St. Louis, trying to crack an older veteran team, and not being really given the minutes maybe right off the top like a lot of these young guys they get right away. And I just wanted to ask you, how were you able to stay patient with it? How did you always, just trust what you could do? And then when you started to kind of grow into your body, did you gain more confidence with the strength and different things that way? Or is it something maybe you and your dad had conversations with as a coach and a former player he was? So I was just curious about that, man, because, it's not easy. And I tip my cap to you.
Thanks, man. It's been a different road than most people. Like everyone's path's different, but I think mine's definitely different than most. Obviously, you get drafted in the first round, you think you're gonna get some looks right away, and obviously they gave me a look playing in the NHL, different role than I was used to playing. And I think for me, like I was very fortunate enough to have my dad who had played the game and obviously now coaches, so he could kind of tell me from a father's standpoint of what he was looking for, and then a coaching standpoint what they're looking for. And for me, that was a big piece, just having him to kind of bounce things off of him. And that's probably where the mental toughness comes from, just asking him questions, and he gives me advice on just how to approach each day and go about my business. And I think that just kind of helped me stay ready for when I got the opportunity, because I knew I was going to get one. And that obviously comes from the trade to Buffalo, and then things slowly progress, and now I'm getting a look with Don Granato, who I had back at the program and was familiar with. So yeah, it's been an interesting road, and I owe a lot of that to obviously different coaches along the way, but a big piece of that being the old man. Yeah, I think just in terms of I played a short stint for your dad, and an honest guy that'll shoot you straight, hard. I mean, we were skating with him a little bit this summer, and I was egging him on. I was, maybe thinking about getting back on the sheet. And do you remember when I was just kind of like, hey, Tomer, like, it's a good skate, but, we might need to be making this a little harder. He's like, oh, yeah, Schmaltz, next week, it's going to be fucking way harder. So I was like, but we get off the ice, we could barely stand up. And I was looking over at you guys, legit national leaguers, and the guy myself that hadn't played in 2 years, but I'm working out at some of these workout places in Scottsdale, and I'm like, okay, well, my cardio is pretty good. I'm looking around at some decent trim here, but I want to put it up against the real skates. And do you remember some of those skates he was putting us through? I think yeah. I mean, a lot of the guys, I think they've had good starts to the season because of it. They're ridiculous. I mean, I honestly feel like I've come into like the best seasons I've had is when I'm skating with him in the summers. they're the worst skates to do because you hate doing them, but they actually get you ready the most. And I remember like doing skates with you out there, and Keller and a lot of the guys are out there, and I was like, "Hey, Kels, you want my dad to come on run a couple skates?" He's like, "Yeah," and then came up to me halfway through. He's like, "Dude, this is an absolute bagger." And then you know how my dad is; he thinks it's hilarious to get off the ice. Oh, it was a light day today, and don't worry, it'll be harder next week. So they're good for sure. They push you, and I think going back to the last question, that's a big reason why I also just always staying ready and trying to do more than the next guy.
Tom, you played in Ann Arbor, correct? And I think every guy on your team almost is playing in the National League right now. You had an unbelievable team there. What I wanted to ask was, obviously your brothers, your boys, with all these guys you played with in Ann Arbor, and when you're there, you all love each other. But as you move on, you're playing for separate teams now. Some of them got to be some of your rivals. Which guy from that team do you hate playing against the most now? Like, I got to get this guy.
Yeah, I mean, every guy you play against, they're all one of the best players on their team. I think the easiest one to pick out of that crowd is probably Matthew Tkachuk. Just a guy you love having on your team and hate playing against, just a rat to play against, always in your face. And obviously, he's in Florida, so we play them quite a bit. So we've had some good games against them. And, he's someone I always try to outplay and try to give it to. And yeah, he's definitely someone that gets under my skin for sure.
Tomer, I wanted to ask you, being in that Ovechkin office on the power play, your curve, that kickstand toe curve, is that something that you've always used, or has it gotten a little bit bigger over the years? Because when that puck slides into your honey hole over there and you're tickling the ceiling and, have a good look at it to really get some wood on it, there's a good chance that's going in. So I wanted to ask you about your curve. Is that a curve you always use? Because I feel like it's gotten a little bit bigger in terms of that hook at the end of the blade in the last few years.
Yeah, so I started off in college, actually, my second year in school. It was a backstrom curve, and I had just met with a CCM rep. I can't remember where. I think it was either the combine or something with the draft. And I just asked him if I could change it up a little. I like the curve. It's just regular P92. And then I had him hook the toe a lot more and then do like an extended blade and max. So it's max height and max length. So it's a bit of a paddle, and then it's just got an absolute toe hook on the end.
Yeah, it does.
And I feel like once I've made that curve and then switched it between different companies, like CCM's made it and now Bauer's made it, in some companies it's bigger than others. So my CCM, I feel like, is the biggest toe hook that you could probably have, and then Bauer's not as big. So that's why I always find myself going back to the CCM as just an absolute banana on the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, usually you see a mouth on the end of that hook because that's, you're catching something in the waters with that thing. That's some deep sea fishing you got on that hook. And are you using, so you got the CCM sticks right now. Are you head to toe in the CCM? What skates are you rocking? Because I forget, you're a Bauer guy, but are you a CCM guy now?
No, I was CCM. I was Bauer, and then I was CCM, and now I'm nothing. Now I'm just kind of just a mash of everything. I got True skates on now, CCM stick, Bauer gloves, just kind of rocking whatever. I'm kind of a guy that, like, when I get into a little slump or start to get cold, I like to switch things up.
Yep.
So I like switching stuff up a lot, and I just felt like if I was locked into one thing, it was obviously a little more of a mental thing for me, where I just wanted to try something new and couldn't. So I just feel a little bit more free.
So you'll even switch company brands for jets in terms of skates?
Yeah. I'll switch jets. I switch skates. I'll do CCM back to Bauer, back to True. Yeah. Right.
And they don't feel different at all, like, or anything?
No, they feel different. That's usually what I'm going for. It's usually like when I need something different. If I'm
yeah.
Whatever I'm.
That's crazy.
Working, so I gotta feel something different. So
yeah,
like that game, I had 5 goals. I legit had True skates the day before and took CCM right out of the box. Didn't bake them, just wore them. And all right, well, I'm wearing these now. So then, you cool off and then you switch it up again. So right now I'm currently in the True skates and the Bauer mitts. I like switching up stuff. So
you'll never
bit of a mental midget when it comes to that stuff. I'm always switching stuff.
So do you ever bake them or the skates, or you just take them right out of the box, just stock, right out of the shelves at Costco?
Yeah, no, like they're the custom skates, but like I'll throw them right on the feet. Like I won't bake them. Doesn't matter.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I like to eventually bake them, but
Yeah.
like we were playing and I just really wanted to use those skates. Like I'll just use them.
Right, because sometimes if you bake them that day and then you use them, they always get fucked up. Like, oh, you could throw them in the freezer.
Sometimes you're just desperate for a switch up, you know.
Yeah, you gotta get the white boots, those tacks. Next time you switch them up, because you would look so juicy in white boots. If you're twinkle toeing in them.
I had white skates with the CCMs, and I didn't like them on me. Like just, you know, I don't know. I found myself looking at my feet too much, like when I was watching film. And that's probably not a spot you want to be looking. Like, don't bring it to your boots, like especially for me, you know.
You remember how sick David Perron though used to look with the white jets?
Oh,
yeah. And he's kind of, I mean, you obviously, you're a lengthy guy, and you know DP would agree with this. You skate better than him, but when he would get that shot going, and you kind of have that same little snapper where you pull it in, little toe suck. How are you? Right around a defenseman's kind of body and stick, and you go top cheddar where it's better. Like he looked pretty sick when he was twinkle toeing and kind of just dancing around.
Yeah, he looks good in them. We just played Dallas, so Duchesne has the same thing. The white kicks, they look good. I think it looks better in certain uniforms too.
Yeah,
you find that? Like I think.
Yeah, you're right.
That's like maybe like in a Detroit or a Dallas. Like they look good in the Dallas jerseys. I don't know if they'll look good in like the blue and yellow. Maybe the goat head ones.
The goat head ones for sure would look juicy. Yeah. I just think too. Also, like, you know, you're obviously a good enough player to wear the white boots, but when you see a guy, maybe it's like you know a bottom six, or maybe a 5'6" defenseman.
No-go.
And you're looking at a guy like Gudis, and you got the white Reeboks. Like Goody, like no offense, fella, you're the captain of the Anaheim Ducks, but you might have two backhands out there. I don't know if you can wear those, and I'm not saying I can say that too, but guys in the league would be able to say that too. So yeah, I just always thought that was funny. The white boots are so juicy. But Tomer, I wanted to ask you, like, you going on the road, you know, you're hanging out with the fellas, like. Who's the dinner crew in Buffalo? Do you have a group of like 10 to 12 guys? Or is it someone, you know, you guys have a 4 or 5 top, maybe it's like the card table on the plane kind of goes out. Like, is in Buffalo, is it just a tight team? It's like one text in the group chat, hey, we're going here tonight. We're going to Nobu, Midtown in New York. Whoever wants to come, you know, join the fellas.
Yeah, usually we got a tight group. Like we'll throw out, like someone will have something set up, you know, when we're on the bird. And then they'll just throw it out like, hey, I got 8 to 10 spots here. Like text if you're in. And then, you know, the first 8 to 10 to respond are in, and then the rest of the crew will do something. So we usually have like 2 to 3 crews. But yeah, they're usually big tables. Usually it's nice, you know, you get the card game in there somewhere and hopefully dodge a few meals and get some free ones for a while.
100%. And one guy I wanted to ask you about, and just in terms of I think he just epitomizes just everything, what style is, the new wave, the way he glides, the way his jersey kind of flaps in the wind, how he can run a power play, is Bo Byram. So is this guy as swaggy off the sheet as he is on the ice? Because I love watching this kid play. He's got great style, little lefty. He snaps it just so hard, National League hard passes. Like, is he a guy that is he seems like he would be that cool off the sheet as he is on?
Yeah, he's a good dude. Great guy off the ice, an absolute riot to be around, like just always cracking jokes, just, you know, never a dull moment. So, no, he's a lot of fun, just like full energy. Like if you go into a room with him, there's no silence. Like he's always yapping, which I love. You know, it's pure excitement. So getting him in the locker room or at a dinner table, you know, on the plane, he's always yapping. So, no, he's a great player too. He's been a great addition to the team. You know, I love watching him play. He's just so good with the puck, skates so well, and great style too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Byram, listen, the guy, the way he can just run a power play, I thought that was a great acquisition for you guys. Obviously, you lost a center iceman in middle step, but I just think, you know, what he can add to your blue line, and especially on the power play. And then you got guys like Darlene back there. I mean, you guys got a great young core there in terms of just, you know, what it is and how young it is. So leading into my next question with that, young teams, usually fun, some single guys there, some guys obviously with girlfriends, wives, families, but have you had the Halloween party yet? And if you have, who's got the best costume or who did?
We haven't had it yet. We got it.
Okay, you haven't had it yet because that's always one of the best times of the year. You know that.
Yeah, we got it coming up. So
okay,
it'll be interesting to see what some guys got planned. I try to get some feelers out there, but everyone's keeping the cards close to the chest. So we got a little contest going. So I think everyone wants to keep it a secret.
You got yours dialed in?
Not yet. I got one. So we got a family one for me, the wife, and the kids going to Toy Story, keep it nice and
keep it nice and Disney.
Yeah, Disney theme. We'll do that around the neighborhood, and then my wife and I got to figure something out for the team party. So
for the team party,
I'm thinking a little Will Ferrell something. It's gonna be
right.
What movie? Not sure yet, but
yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, some of the ones I saw, the Joseph brothers with the white chicks, that was pretty funny. I thought that was a clever one.
Really good.
The best one of all time I've ever heard was Matt Green, a former UND product, obviously won 2 cups in LA. It was Tomer. He went as the bathroom attendant one year at the team party. So they rented out a venue and he actually stayed in character in the bathroom the whole time. So we had everything from the Pepto-Bismol to the cigarettes, to the chew, to the darts, mouthwash, condoms, whatever you needed. And he would have guys bring Coors Lights in there and he would get mad if you didn't tip him. He'd be like, "What? You want to Tic Tac with that shit? You got to tip me at least $2. It smells in here." So like that one, that's like the cleverness that goes into some of these costumes is pretty good. And there's always like 1 or 2 guys on the team. You're like, dude, like, how long have you been thinking about this, bro? Like, you got a makeup guy and a wig guy. What's going on here?
Yeah, that's dedication, man. He could have just been after the tips. Who knows? Hey, it's not a bad way. Just get some cash for the night.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, make $100 the hard way, sitting in the bathroom, having guys bring you a Coors Light. It's just so funny. Like he literally stayed in character the whole time. So
yeah, how's the party? I was sick. I was standing next to the pisser the whole night.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, that's good shit.
Yeah, you might have to look into some SNL Will Ferrell too. He's got some good SNL clips with the Will Ferrell costumes. Like the cheerleader one's always good if you got a wife with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cheerleader one, and then when he's playing the cowbell with Bruce Dickinson, I don't know what your wife would go as, but I mean, if you had that crop top kind of rolled up right around the belly button, and you just had the cowbell out, I gotta have more cowbell, baby. That's always a great one too. There's so many good ones you could do, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that would be a good one. I gotta see. The problem is though, like with that one, I don't even know if a lot of our young guys would even get that one.
No,
that's true. You don't even think about that now. Like,
yeah. We had Zach Benson the other day was watching Friends, and he was like, "This is a terrible show. The only part of it that's good is Nicole Aniston." Didn't even know her name.
Nicole Aniston. Fellow, read the game notes.
Isn't Nicole Aniston? Isn't she on some of those X-rated sites online?
I have no idea. Gotta ask Ken. Got a picture on there. He'll get you dialed in on those.
Oh man, that's so funny. Well, Tomer, also, you got anything else for TNT?
No. I mean, my only question, I don't know if you already asked him, was how the hell did he end up at UConn? But I think it was his dad was close or family. But I was curious because you probably could have went anywhere you wanted.
Yeah, I was recruited like a lot of Hockey East schools. I knew I wanted to play in Hockey East, and I actually didn't know anything about UConn. It was the last school that I toured. My dad was like, "All right, let's just go take a look at them. Like, they're a new program." And it was going to be my draft year that year too. So I knew I wanted to go to a program where I was going to get like some good looks and, get an opportunity to play a bunch. So kind of just worked out. I toured the campus and loved it. Really cool campus, kind of just tucked away in stores. So there's nothing there. Just, a lot of farmland and then the actual campus. And, the coaching staff just kind of felt like a good fit for me and knew I was going to get some playing time. So I actually really enjoyed my time there. I was there for 2 years and worked out that I was pretty close to home as well.
Yeah, now they got the new arena there, right? Like it's pretty juicy.
I haven't seen it yet. I just seen like videos of it, but it looks unreal.
Where were you guys playing? Like at a fucking practice rink? How was the rink back then?
Yeah, we had a practice rink like on campus. It was just like a regular public rink, like just the metal bleachers that went up like 4 rows and had a pretty decent locker room, nothing crazy. And then we play all of our games at the XL Center down in Hartford, which was actually they would block off the top with some curtains, and we'd fill the lower bowl. We actually had really good attendance when I was there, so we'd sell out the lower bowl, and it's pretty good. The only like part that sucked was it was like a 30-40 minute drive to the game every time. So we'd pack all our stuff up at the rink and then drive there. So it was pretty much like an away game for us every home game.
That's nails. That's nails. That's why you chose to go there. I mean, you basically was like, I want to make the national, and this is my best chance. Like, I don't really care what all the bells and whistles these other schools got. Like, just let me play some hockey. I'm trying to get to the national. That's nails.
Yeah, just get me on the ice.
Yeah, get me on the sheet, Phil. Let me tickle it over there in my office on the left side. I'll just be pulling and dragging everything. I remember your first game, Tom. Did you tuck your first game pro with the Wolves too? I think it was an absolute snipe. You came in. I remember like you were just like this young kid. I think would you play 1 year at UConn?
Two years at UConn, and then joined you guys. The Wolves.
Yeah, I just remember I saw that shot and I was like, Jesus, this guy's got a shot like Chris Kyle. Holy sniper. So, Tomer, I knew you always had it deep down. You just needed to look, baby. But we appreciate you for coming on, dude. Seriously, thanks for stopping by. I know the season's busy.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I appreciate you guys having me. It's always a blast chatting with you.
Yeah, and obviously I'm going to be up in Buffalo at some point this year. So if you got a few days off or whatever, we'll have to go over to Mother's and get a bone-in ribeye or something and,
Absolutely.
Whatever else.
Yeah, get you on the Ox.
Yeah, get me on the Ox, baby. Let Jay Swish spin it, 93-1 style.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, bro. You're a beauty. Appreciate you coming on. Folks, that was Tage Thompson, TNT Thompson from the Buffalo Sabres. Woo!